Thank you and welcome to what is unfortunately the 21st annual Candlelight Vigil to honor victims and survivors of domestic violence. Anytime Susan asks me to do something, I eagerly accept, much to my husband's chagrin, because I believe that the people that Janet mentioned who worked for Umbrella are angels. And I realize that that sounds corny, but I have to tell you that for over a decade, I have worked with those women and some men to help victims of domestic violence, and they are indeed a special group of kind, committed, smart, compassionate people. A little about me, I was in fact a staff attorney with New Haven Legal Assistance. I came back to Connecticut in 1999 after a stint as a prosecutor in Dade County, Florida, and of course in Miami everything has to do with cocaine or domestic violence or both. And I specialized in domestic violence where I was prosecuting batterers. When I came to Connecticut and took the job under a VAWA grant, a Violence Against Women Act grant, we have a special partnership in Connecticut between legal services attorneys and domestic violence advocates to assist victims with family law and civil cases, divorces, custody actions, child support, visitation actions, advocacy with state agencies such as the Department of Children and Families, the Department of Social Services, and that is what I did. And I thought that I was committed. You know, I've devoted my career to domestic violence, and then I began the very special relationship with the Umbrella. And there are countless women and men and children and families over these years that we have assisted in a wide variety of ways. You can see from the testimonials as you walked in, they do such incredible, incredible work. Susan had also asked me to speak a little bit about the impact of this economic environment on what it is that we do. The work that I do now as executive director of CCADV, the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence, is very different. I no longer have clients, I'm not in court, and I thought, oh, I'm really gonna miss helping these families as I make this transition. And honestly, there's so much work to do that I don't have time to miss the courtroom. I still get the calls from Umbrella and the other programs. What we are working to do with the coalition is to create a culture of intolerance in this state, to create an environment where it is not acceptable to hurt the people that you love, to create an environment where we don't exclude men because they are batterers, where we engage men in this work. You'll notice that Janet mentioned the names of all women that work at the Umbrella, but there are men among us here at this vigil. And that should say something to us, that these men, particularly those men in blue, are our allies. And I have to say, one of the things we can do as community members is anytime you see a police officer, even if they're not in a domestic violence unit, thank them. And here's why. They have to go. They are the only segment. The women at Umbrella, the legal services attorneys, the coalition, we get to choose. Police officers must respond. They must be professional. They must take it seriously. They must do their jobs. And when they don't, we blame them. That's when we hear in the press, oh, the police dropped the ball. Oh, the police didn't do this. We do not hear about the vast majority of them that every day are doing their jobs in conjunction with organizations like the Umbrella. So thank them for all of their work. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a former prosecutor and I get the law enforcement piece. Most of us have no idea what it is like to take a crisis call. To get a call at 3 a.m. from a woman who is in crisis with children, or from a 5-year-old who is calling a hotline. Imagine that. Many of us don't know what it's like to have to leave where we are and go to a different place where we don't know the people, it's a different part of the state, we don't have a support system, we don't have jobs, we don't have friends, to take only what's on our backs and to start over. This is why the work of the women at Umbrella is so important, because that is what they do for victims. In addition to Birmingham Group Health Services and their support and umbrella, I have to say the Valley is a very special place. Part of my message today is about the need, particularly in hard economic times, for a coordinated community response to domestic violence. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that each of us has a role, all of you. Even if you are not working in the field of domestic violence, if you are teachers, coaches, janitors, CEOs, parents, all of us have a role. So today is really a call to action. How can we be part of the solution? Be good to your children. Role model healthy relationships. Be the best you that you can be, the best parent, the best coworker, the best neighbor, the best at whatever it is that you do to support your family. Improve yourself. Donate money, time. If you're a therapist, donate 4 free sessions to umbrella clients. If you're a roofer, donate some of your time, some of your men. If you're a business person, donate some of your expertise. In-kind donations are just as welcome as checks that you can write. Volunteer. Coach a team. Volunteer your time at some of these very important organizations. And most importantly, educate yourself. Domestic violence is a complex social ill. It's a public health issue, it's a public safety issue, and affects all of us, every single one of us, whether we believe that or not. If you do not believe that domestic violence affects you, ask the parents that send their children to school with children who are witnessing violence in the home. Ask the teachers who deal with those children. Ask the people who live next to, for example, the Tyler Shankmans, whose home was burned down. Ask the neighbors of Tiana Notice, who was murdered, stabbed to death, and it was caught on camera in February of this year by her ex-boyfriend. So even if you don't have a personal story, understand that domestic violence affects all of us, and that the social cost of not addressing it is far too great. I don't want you to leave here thinking that this economic environment causes domestic violence. People don't wake up and say, gee, I'm going to abuse the person I love today because I lost my job. However, it is a stressor. Where there is already an existing problem, it creates more problems. There is a 34% rise in physical incidents of domestic violence in poor economic times. The umbrella program itself has seen an increase in the number of court cases. Joblessness is up, prices are up, stress is up, the need for services is up, and funding is down. The people that work in umbrella are always working on the very slimmest of budgets, always working on a shoestring to try to provide the best help that they can provide to victims that avail themselves of their services. Particularly in this economic environment, it is so important that domestic violence become a priority. I'm always convinced that there's plenty of money. It's really not an issue of money, it's an issue of priority. Where do we place our priorities? Our priority has to be helping victims and survivors and their families. In conclusion, this call to action is for each of you to contribute what you can to be part of the solution. I'm going to give you 2 numbers. The first is the statewide 24-hour domestic violence hotline, 1-888-774-2900. The umbrella hotline is 203-736-9944. It is free, it is confidential. Callers do not have to give identifying information. There are certified, trained, compassionate people to help on the other end of the line. Let's all do our part so that we're not having another vigil next year and in the years to come. Thank you.